That's the most ridiculous thing. If I were him, frankly, I'd probably want to strangle you guys, okay? No, it's ridiculous. He's carried teams on his shoulder. They've been in the finals 6 straight times. How many times have they been the favorite? None. 0. Okay? Grossly unfair to him. I don't want to sound like Donald Trump, but it's hard for me to believe that someone doesn't recognize his greatness. It's hard for me to believe. This guy does everything. He's like a Swiss Army knife, okay? He does everything. And he does everything. And he's competitive as hell. And frankly, I wish people would leave him alone.
That was Hall of Famer Jerry West calling out LeBron's critic. Skip, does West have a point about LeBron?
Stephen A. Smith, I'm going to buy part of Jerry's point, but definitely not all of it. And I want to point out, I love Jerry West. I have nothing but respect. He's one of the rare star players who became a star team builder. And yet, I point out, he does work for the Golden State Warriors, so he's in a position of not wanting to antagonize LeBron, obviously. He's going to say nothing but great, nice things about LeBron. But I do think this came from Jerry's heart. Now, what's the big difference between Jerry West, who was in games? Well, let's look at those 9 finals. Jerry West wasn't always the best player on his team, in my humble estimation. And Stephen A., help me out here. Hasn't LeBron always been the best player on his finals teams? I know Dwayne in the first year in Miami, was it close? Who was best on that team? But I'm going to go LeBron. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay. And I'm pretty sure that 2010 team, I'm pretty sure it was favored in that finals. I forgot to look this up, but I'm pretty sure they were favored going in, but I could be wrong about that. To Jerry's point that LeBron's never been favored. It was very close against my Spurs in 2014, but that's another issue. So I look at Jerry's finals. By the way, he beat your New York Knicks, 1972. Yes. That was his only victory in the finals. I hate to point that out. I know.
Yeah. No, you don't, like, but go ahead.
Okay, so I look at the first 2 finals, 62-63. I think Elgin Baylor was the best player on those teams, not Jerry West. Then Jerry did take over 65, 66, 68. I think he was the best player. Then this guy named Wilt Chamberlain came, 69, 70. It's debatable. I was kind of leaning a little bit in those years toward Wilt being slightly more valuable than Jerry West. Very debatable who's the best shooter on the team, and it was very close between Gale Goodrich and Jerry West in 72 and his last finals, 73. So what I'm saying is it wasn't always just on Jerry's shoulders because he wasn't always the best player. Now I look at what's happened to LeBron, and if we're going to be painfully obvious here about what's happened, and I'm honest, you know, LeBron in 2010 suffered an all-time meltdown. The chosen one became the frozen one in that finals as they lost to Dallas. And then he got blown off the floor. LeBron is the best player on the team. After they went 1-1 at San Antonio in 2014, they got blown off the floor by a record finals margin with LeBron as the best player. And now we're here. LeBron's team at Oracle with him as the best player, lost the first 2 games of a finals by a record margin for games 1 and 2. Well, these are ugly blights on the resume of an all-time great player that Jerry West really didn't have. Jerry West said he went home and wanted to kill himself after some of these finals losses, but it wasn't all on his shoulders. He wasn't the best player. So I'm not sure it equates what Jerry went through to what LeBron is going through.
Yeah, but that's not the point. The point is that to Jerry it does equate, which brings me to the point that I'm about to make. I won't mention any names, but I took heat from several people yesterday because I was on SportsCenter and I highlighted how I'm not surprised at all by what Jerry West said, because the bottom line is that he went to 9 NBA finals, lost 8. Matter of fact, if I recall correctly, he had lost 7 NBA finals before he finally won his first one.
That's
and
true.
So just think about it from that perspective. You're 0-7 in your illustrious career. The only guy in history that was named the NBA Finals MVP in a losing effort back in 1969. That was Jerry West. Lost 7 NBA Finals before he won one. So when you think about LeBron and the heat that LeBron has taken, why would Jerry West take any other position? Because as far as I'm concerned, as one critic of mine, you know, affectionately so, because I know the man loves me dearly, you know, the guy, he pointed out, he said, it's a very simplistic argument you're making. And I said, so what? What's wrong with simple when something is that simple? My point is that Jerry West, to me, was speaking in defense of Jerry West every bit as much as he was speaking in defense of LeBron James. Because as a superstar in this game, recognizing that in the game of basketball, one man doesn't determine the outcome, it takes a collective effort. His name gets attached to all of those losses, and that has to sting. So he's sitting there and looking, you know, fast forwarding 40 years later, and he's like, what LeBron is going through is incredibly cruel, because there's a level of appreciation we should all have for LeBron. I think he's right to some degree, okay? And I definitely think that he's speaking about himself to some degree, because there have been times where he obviously felt that his greatness should have been appreciated, and more importantly, he shouldn't be defined by nor synonymous with 8 NBA Finals losses in 9 tries. It shouldn't be the be-all and end-all to his illustrious career. Now, I'm one of those guys, and I've been on this path for many years. I have profound respect for Jerry West. I mean no disrespect by saying what I just said about him. I don't find anything wrong with what he said. But I will tell you, he doesn't deserve to be the NBA silhouette. The NBA needs to get with modern times and understands, first of all, most basketball fans don't know who the hell Jerry West was as a player. And even if you did know, regardless of your greatness, and you were great, 8 finals losses in 9 tries. That is below mediocre. There's a gentleman who owns the Charlotte Hornets. His name is Michael Jordan. 6 championships in 6 tries and 6 NBA Finals MVPs. That's who should be the NBA silhouette, and they need to change the damn thing immediately. But as it pertains to Jerry West on LeBron James, I get where his argument is coming from. I'm sensitive to it. I understand it. I appreciate it. He's wrong, because Miami was the favorite against Dallas. Okay? And that's the one finals that will haunt LeBron James more than anything. But in the end, he does make a valid point that the greatness of LeBron and what he brings to the table in most instances far outweigh his negatives, and there should be a greater level of appreciation for him that actually exists. I would just say today ain't the damn day to make that argument after what we witnessed last night.
Although he obviously made the argument before last night. Yeah,
before
still,
the game.
Can you see where I'm coming from? That, to your point about the silhouette, the logo, Jerry West doesn't belong in the same conversation with LeBron James. Is that fair? I mean, to me, LeBron is a much more dynamic player. He's proven so much. He can carry teams to finals where Jerry couldn't do that.
But Jerry's not making that comparison. The comparison that Jerry, first of all, he wasn't making a comparison, but the comparison that I'm drawing is the finals record. That's what he was alluding to. The fact that everybody's talking about LeBron is 2-4, and how if he loses these finals, he'll be 2-5 in an NBA Finals. Well, in terms of NBA Finals futility, who is the foremost expert in basketball annals on that subject? That would happen to be Jerry West, which means that there's a parallel that could easily be drawn, which is why I don't understand how anybody could try to deny that. There is no question that the foremost authority on NBA Finals futility is Jerry West.
Okay, but the other point is, if I can flip it around, look at it this way, Jerry West never stunk it up the way LeBron did in 2010 versus the Dallas Mavericks when they blew a 2-1 lead. You know, he never had a terrible finals.
Listen, Mad Dog Russo does a phenomenal job of constantly arguing that point, because he talks about Jerry West, who he had to go up against with the Celtics, the Knicks, etc., and the daunting task that he faced and how he showed up and played. We get all of that. But Jerry West is saying there are people out there who don't know about that. All they know about is the NBA, is the 8 finals losses in 9 tries, and that's what they harp on. And in LeBron's case, we're going to be harping on 5 NBA finals losses, possibly by next weekend, more so than the level of greatness he continuously brings to the table. I understand the parallel there, and I respect it.
We'll leave it there. LeBron has now starred in Frozen and Trainwreck 2 on the show, but we are optimistic that his fortunes will change on Wednesday. Once in a while, Skip. The NBA Finals head to Quicken Loans Arena for Game 3 at 9 Eastern on ABC. Our coverage tips with NBA Countdown at 8:30. You can also listen to the game on ESPN Radio. I'm very excited for this next subject.